What's up, you guys? I'm Dan, this is Frugal Not Cheap, and today I'll give you a tour and my review of Simplifi by Quicken. With Mint going away, which is a really good personal finance software, people are left having to look at other things. And one of the options is Simplifi by Quicken. It's kind of funny, I searched in here for Simplifi by Quicken, and of course Monarch Money came right up as a sponsored search. And I do have a review on that, so you can check that out. But today we'll take a look at Quicken Simplifi. And so of course this is not the same as the old Quicken product. The old Quicken desktop and cloud product has a really kind of a larger feature set, I would say. And it's geared still more towards people that want to run something on the desktop, that want to do a lot of manual transactions and a lot of reconciling. Things that I've come to find I have exactly zero interest in, because it takes a whole lot of time, and there's really no point. You can just get the data straight from the banking institutions, so you never have to reconcile anything. And I'm not that interested in tracking like a small cash account or something like that anymore. In the future, if I have to do more of my spending in cash, then I'll do that in the spreadsheet. I've got a pretty cool spreadsheet set up that I might share with you someday in the future. But for the most part, I just use Empower. And that kind of takes care of all of my needs. But again, Empower is not really all that good for people that want to keep track of where they are month to date on every single budget category and know what that is. With Empower, you're really just looking at an overall monthly spending amount, and you can, of course, drill down and see how much you're spending in each category, but it doesn't have that little progress bar type of approach for each of the budgeted categories. So it's not really for those sort of micro budgeting kind of deals. So really a bummer that that's gone with Mint. So taking a look at the other options that we have. Again, Monarch Money is about just under $100 a year as of the time of this filming, whereas this Quicken product is a little bit less expensive. So it says it's starting at $2 a month. That's half off of the regular price of $4 a month. And this is the starting price, but still, we're looking at $48 there as a starting price. And so that's about half the cost of Monarch Money. So let's see whether or not we get half the value. But also let's take a look at what are the other plans and pricing that we have here for this Quicken Simplifi. There is the Quicken Classic as well. That's the more sort of, that's that fully featured one that we were talking about earlier. That's also a little bit more old school. Okay, so it looks like basically the plans and pricing was just to also pitch the Quicken Classic, which, as we can see here, would be $7 a month normally. So that's $84. So even Quicken Classic Premier would be less expensive than Monarch Money, whereas Quicken Classic Deluxe, of course, would be even cheaper than that at $5 a month. But again, you can see in my old video, there are many reasons why I ditched Quicken Classic and went to a completely cloud-based approach. But let's take a look at Quicken Simplifi, which with the current deal of $2 a month, comes out to only $24 a year, which is pretty awesome. And then again, rising to $48 the following year. But, that's a very attractive price if we're in the paid category. And there is currently, by the way, an offer to get Mint free for 1 year. This is as of late January 2024. So if we're moving from Mint, we get Simplifi free for 1 year. So we put in our name and zip code. And if we were to do the import from Mint, then it would bring in all our data over, and this is how we'd get the additional 9 months free. Simplifi told me to link all of my accounts, but I've chosen only to link one of them. It said I could hide them later, but I don't want to do that. Okay, so I went ahead and added a checking account at basically a cash management account at Merrill Edge. And we've also got a traditional IRA at Charles Schwab, and then a couple of credit cards at Capital One. And this way we'll be able to see all the different types of investment accounts. Now, an interesting thing here is that it thinks that this is a recurring income, and it's cool that it's actually taking a look at the transactions and seeing if that's true. Why don't we keep it selected and see what happens if we pretend that that's recurring income. And this is kind of cool. So it's coming up with all these different bills that are coming up, and making sure that the categories are right. This isn't right. That's going to be your internet. This is true. This is true. That's not a bill though. So this is not recurring. So we're going to remove that one. So the dashboard looks pretty good. There's a lot of sort of pastel colors, as you can see here. It has a little bit of a cartoony or a softer look than what you get with Quicken Classic. But I like that we have here our net worth on the left-hand side. You can see your total net worth. Then you can see your investments and all the different categories broken out. We can also add assets like a vehicle or any liabilities like a mortgage that we might have, or if we had a loan on the vehicle as well. We've got upcoming bills and payments, our top spending categories. We've got kind of like recent transactions over here. And then over here, once we fill out the spending plan, then we'll be able to see our budget, and that's going to be cool. And of course, we can set savings goals. We can create a watch list for specific spending categories, so that's pretty cool. If there's a particular one, like, I don't know, you're working on fast food, or you want to keep a closer eye on your gasoline spend or something like that. Oh, and this is also a neat idea. They've got these achievements, which are kind of gamifying, creating the kind of habits that we'd like to have. So I think that's pretty cool. And then we've got a brief little overview of our investments here. It just shows you the different holdings. And then hopefully we'll be able to get a little bit better view on investments than we did with Monarch Money, we shall see. So of course we could click on each of these different things to get going. I think what I'll start doing first is creating a little spending plan here. So that's going to be using a lot of the automatic stuff that we already have, which is a great way to save us time. So we're just going to add in some income. We're just going to pretend that we're making, I don't know, $1,000 a month, because my non-rent spend is pretty low. So we're going to say that I'm going to get paid next on the 1st of February, let's say. And this is going to be every month. And boom. Okay, so here we go, taking a look at February, where we've entered that income. Then we have our upcoming bills here, which is estimates for my utilities. The Tesla insurance payment should go down quite a bit to about $110 or so, depending on my final safety score and mileage at the end of the month. But yeah, pretty good. So I think that'll do for the income and bills and saving part. And then let's take a look at the planned spending. So let's say about $200, I think, for groceries. Very cool. So it shows us how much we have available so far. So we'll add another expense here. And why don't we do restaurants? And that's another, let's say, $200 as well. Why not? So we got $250.56 left. And I've got about $35 for my phone. And maybe $25 for personal care. So there we go. It's not completely zeroing it out. We want to have a little bit of a surplus available. Let's see how that looks on the dashboard now. Okay, so I guess all these would show up on the dashboard, but we're in the month of January right now, and it doesn't have a way for me to toggle over to the month of February, unfortunately. So anyway, that's okay. Here we can see all of our recent transactions. It's pretty cool that it has all of the bills and payments here in chronological order that we can scan through. And then for the transactions, we do have a way to search. We have filters, we can import data, we can export data as well. And we can add manual transactions too. So those of you that want to do things manually, you can do that here with Simplifi. It doesn't have daily subtotals. That was a nice thing that we saw in Monarch. You can also see here that it doesn't have any nice icons for all the different spending. So, it really is just a simple kind of sheet here with all the different transactions. Not that interesting. The bills and payments, it is nice that we have a calendar, but it's not, I don't think, as pretty as what we saw with Monarch Money. But these reminders, that's quite useful there as well. And then we have the cash flow. This is something we also saw in Monarch Money and something that I like in Empower. And then here we have all the different categories of recurring stuff. On our watch list, we could put maybe coffee shops. Well, we don't do that. But I might put one in here, say, for like restaurants. And we'll set the target at the 175 maybe. It's a little lower than the planned spending. Oh, this is kind of weird. Yeah, that is kind of weird. So we'll have both a planned spending and a target that's a little bit lower. Over the last 4 months, $342. That's pretty high. This month, 167. Is that true? Let's take a look. Yeah, that's true. Although some of this stuff I did get reimbursed for from friends, but that's true. So we're a little bit below target, as you can see here, and projected. Oh, this is cool. We have a projected rate based on what our spend is so far. And of course, we've got all kinds of good reports. We've got reports on our spending. We can do spending over time. This is a really nice view, and then if we hover over different things, then we can get all of the different detail. So this is right now, we're looking at a day, but we can also do a lot of other things like we can do last year. And now we can look at monthly totals for spending. And then all the transactions down here as well, that we can, of course, export to CSV, and we can also import transactions too. So you can do the simple bar chart, or you can do the categories. Here we go with the income side. We can look at net income. We could track our savings, but I don't have any savings set up here. And then the net worth over time as well. And this is pretty cool that we have a little monthly summary just to kind of let us know how things went in the month of December. Oh, and wow, you can even track refunds on returns that you might have made. That's an interesting feature. Look at that. Let's take a look at investments now, and this is where I'm hoping that Simplifi will do better than Monarch Money. So here it does say this is total international and this is total stock market. Those are just coming straight from Vanguard, though nothing very interesting there. We have a little bit of news here, that's fine. Let's see, we can see balances over time. It doesn't have any data, of course, but it would generate some data over time in the future. Take a look at performance. Insufficient data, so we don't have anything there. And then any transactions would show up here as well. So as we can see here, Simplifi does not have really any kind of the powerful investment management tools that you have with Empower in terms of retirement planning, or even more simple things like just looking at what the composition of one's portfolio is. So you can see here, it's got our holdings, but it doesn't have a good way to actually look at the different asset classes or the allocation that we have in our portfolio holistically across all the different accounts. So I'd say that this is definitely still something that's lacking here. It'd be great if they could add that in the future. But for now, Simplifi looks to be more of like a Mint competitor than something like Empower. And then, of course, we can create different savings goals, saving up for a car or generating an emergency fund, which everyone should have, of course. So there you have it, a quick tour of Simplifi by Quicken. Let's take a quick look at the app and make sure that it's up to par with what we would expect. So the UI is pleasing, as we can see here. We can go in between those three different tabs of the net worth, the investing, and our banking. We can see our recent transactions here, bills that are coming up. There's our spending plan. Here's the category that we put like on our watch list, which is the restaurants, to try to keep that in line. And then the investments, which again, it doesn't have a good view of our portfolio, and of our asset allocation, I'm sorry. But it does show you our different holdings and their performance. And then here we got top spending, and then the cool achievements, which is a feature that I really like here with Simplifi. As we can see here, we have a nice extensive menu with all of the different features that we had on the web. We can take a look at our different accounts, look at all of our transactions across all of our accounts, bills and payments that are coming up, as well as the cash flow and everything recurring. On the cash flow, we do lose the really nice chart that we had online, though, unfortunately. But altogether, I'd say that the app is very responsive and it looks pretty good. And while some of the charts are missing that you have from the desktop version, it would still work for your day-to-day. So I hope you enjoyed that tour of the software. I think you've got a good sense of what I think about it, but I'll recap here. So two of the more popular choices, it looks like, for people that are moving away from Mint, which was great and free and had a lot of great features, are Monarch Money, which we looked at in the previous review, and here at Simplifi by Quicken. In terms of the user interface, I think I like the UI that Monarch has a little bit better. There's something that's a little bit too cartoony with the Simplifi UI. I also prefer that Monarch Money had different little icons for all the different categories, so you could kind of get a visual sense of, if you're looking at restaurant spending or utilities or whatever, just with a quick glance, rather than the kind of stale sort of just transaction listings that we're seeing here in Simplifi. I also like that Monarch Money had daily subtotals. I thought that was a cool feature you don't generally see. That being said, in terms of the reporting functions, the reports that I saw that Simplifi could run are quite extensive. They're really feature rich in terms of looking at the time frames, looking at overall totals or by category. So I do think that the reports were really, really good here in Simplifi. Unfortunately, both of these miss out when it comes to investments and managing a portfolio. So I guess that's still where, Quicken Classic is the one that they're going to be pushing over there. But it also makes sense because that's something that Mint didn't do very well. And as of this filming anyway, neither Monarch Money nor Simplifi can do that either. I also like that Simplifi, instead of calling it a budget, calls it a spending plan. I think that, I don't know, it's just a little bit psychologically more favorable for people than a budget that sounds really restrictive. Unfortunately, I don't mind, but it does seem like there's that connotation out there. And another feature I really like here with Simplifi is that it kind of gamifies a couple of things, just, giving you some little goals to hit. And then it also has this nice kind of overview of the month behind, so you can kind of reflect back and take a look at how you're doing. So as it stands, I'd say just looking at the software alone, there are pros and cons to Monarch Money, and you'll have to decide based on what I've talked about, which one you would prefer. For me personally, I think that as the software is currently, I would probably prefer Simplifi by Quicken, but I somehow have a feeling that Monarch Money is going to be developing functions more, and so they may be able to have that investment piece kind of worked out and fleshed out better than what we'll see with Simplifi, but I don't know. We'll have to see what's going to happen in the future. That being said, of course, an important factor is going to be price. Now, both of these are offering some deals at the moment right now for those of you that are moving over from Mint. But I think it's important, regardless of what those deals are for the brief, for whatever the promotional period is, to look at the ongoing price. So Monarch Money is significantly more expensive at just under $100 a year, whereas Simplifi comes out to less than $50 a year for the basic subscription. And then currently, of course, if you're moving over from Mint, you can do a 3-month free trial plus another 9 free months if you're importing data from Mint. So that's pretty amazing. So if it were me and I'd been a power Mint user and I needed to track all of my individual categories in my budget / spending plan, definitely I would be moving over to Simplifi. One, to take advantage of the free year, that's awesome, but then also because the ongoing cost of $50, $48 a year is more palatable to me for a service that I used to get for free from Mint, and the feature set again is very comparable, and there are a lot of little quirks that I like here with Simplifi as well. So I could get over not really loving the pastel color palette. But if you're someone that really cares about their investment portfolio like me, then this doesn't really fit the bill, and that's why I will continue to use Empower, which is free, which is great. This isn't sponsored by them. I don't even have a referral code up for them anymore, but there may be other free options out there. I don't have an account with Fidelity, so I can't take a look at full view, but I do plan to take a look at the Yodlee software that's out there in the future, and then after that I'll be doing kind of recap of where I see the personal finance software landscape here at the beginning of 2024. Hope you found today's video helpful. If you did, please hit the like button and consider subscribing. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.